Waiting for everything to kick in on the simulcasting for everybody. It looks like we're streaming. Yes, we got Facebook in on multiple pages. We have Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, our TV channel. Excellent. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Friday edition of This Week in Hospitality Marketing live show number 381. I am your host, Lauren Gray. Thank you all for joining us if you're doing so live. Thank you if you're listening to us after the scheduled time that we did go live, which is always 11:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. Interesting times. Obviously, it's Black Friday for retail and for us as well. If you've noticed, there have been some efforts towards Black Friday from a variety of hospitality businesses, really depending. I think this is the solid push time for restaurants, gift cards. If you don't do gift cards for your hotel, or you can't because your brand, and you have to go through the Bonvoy program and or honors program or whatever, it's still worthy to consider. If you don't have the brand as a restriction, bless your hearts, then you really are missing an opportunity this time of year for gift cards. It's a huge opportunity, not because you get advanced sales, not because of the cash flow for which are all huge positives. I've had very small places, boutique places, generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in gift cards. But the real value of gift cards is that it doubles your audience capability, because you have those that would be going and staying with you. That's your audience that you're always trying to pursue anyway. And then you have the audience that is buying cards for them because they know that about them, that they themselves may not be exactly your prime audience, but now they can be, because you're going to want to associate with people that are associated with people that like your product. So it's like a twofer in lots of ways, that you can go over and expand your audiences during this time of year to people that you're not trying to pursue to stay with you, not to pursue to become brand aware of you, but rather, that part is almost totally true, because you do want to be brand awareness to people that may not know about you, so that they would buy your gift certificate. Let's just put it that way. But you're really having an opportunity to sell to people that are looking to buy the certificates for the people that they know that would enjoy them. Gift certificates right now are on the rise. Depending upon the demographic that we are targeting, can be upwards of 70% of all gifts are gift cards, and as low as the upper teens for those. Like I said, depending upon demographics, because shipping costs, postal service delays, postal service prioritizations, they've all crept into our society now, where people are like, if I don't have to personally stand in line at a post office to hand wrapped a gift that I purchased locally, to bring it over and then pay for the shipping in the hopes that it gets there and hopes that it doesn't get damaged, kind of thing, with no repercussions and possibility, then I will. And that goes into the world of the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Target retail perspective, that just have them handle all of it. And that way there's repercussions if it doesn't make it, repercussions if it's damaged. Also refund capabilities, because obviously if you're sending something to someone and they can't return it because there's no local store, that creates issues. Gift cards solve all of that in that sense. But going back to us for hotels, as in for gift cards, and that is the value proposition of giving something that now is a CRM gold mine. Your ability to correspond and work with the recipients and purchasers of gift cards is a very valuable one. We've always enjoyed, for all the hotels that we've been able to convince them this is a value proposition for them to bring into their system. We can talk about techniques in a little bit and so forth. Is that you now have a dedicated audience. They have an asset investment into you. They have money that's burning a hole in their pocket. And so any opportunities that you can give them that add value to that, we found it very valuable to always go over and do things like 10% ad increases for gift cards. So if you have a $100 gift card, and I know it's a small one, but just say it is a $100 gift card, 10% value proposition when you redeem it on these certain dates. Redeem it on these particular room types. Redeem it in whatever criteria that you wish to, okay? Price thresholds. Stay with us for minimum 3 days, and all your gift cards that you use will be worth 20% more. Or use a gift card for reservations and receive 5th day free, 4th day free, 3rd day free, whatever it is. Great length of stay gateways. The idea that you have this collaboration with a person that is willing to open your emails. Remember, they have money in the pocket that is only spendable with you. Okay. So when you send them an email related to their gift card that is a value proposition and or communication about the value of their gift card, the opening rates are phenomenally high, very much like text almost. And you can actually try to cross them over and create a text environment for them based upon what they're interested in redeeming. If they're looking for short-term deals, they're looking for holiday deals, event deals, um, time of year deals, special relationship deals, because they have money invested with you. And because of that, they know that they are a higher priority compared to your other guests that might be arriving without that relationship. Then you have a dedicated audience. What we found very often was by highlighting our downs or hold periods in times where we said, wow, if you stay with us on Monday, Tuesday in the month of June, okay, and include either one of those days in your stay. Add a day at the end of your weekend stay, come in early if you're going for the late week stay, whatever. We'll give you X value because you're a gift card holder. They don't even have to redeem the gift card to get the benefit. Just because they have a gift card, they get the benefit you're offering. It creates a very dedicated communication audience. And for those people buying the gift cards, because the people may have enjoyed them and continue to enjoy what they were purchased for, they now are exposed to your product and maybe interested themselves. Why does my friend who loves this hotel that I bought a gift certificate for like to go there? And that word of mouth, that advocacy that the friends have or the family has or whoever it is that bought it for them has, creeps into all the people that then acted on that and gave those kind of gift cards to these people. That expands your audience. Strangely enough, that was not our topic discussion today. Just because of it being Black Friday, because I've seen this laissez-faire approach to the holidays from a marketing perspective for so many businesses right now. A lot of it is they feel like they already have a good business. They don't have to exercise options of discounts. They don't have to exercise options of leader losses, anything like that. They feel that demand's at the doorstep. So rack and rate. Yes, in some circumstances. Yes, in some markets. We're having definite weather shifts and so forth. We've certainly talked about storm impacts of being down here in Southwest Florida where Ian directly hit. The impact on the local market for tourism, profound, not just in short term, but in midterm. Lots of opportunities for other markets to absorb that demand that would have historically come down to our market elsewhere. Same too for the Northeast market of Florida, the Volusia County, St. Augustine's, Daytona beaches, Smyrna beaches. Those ones badly hit by Nicole, actually both Ian and Nicole. Also diminishment in demand to that market as well. Where do those people go? Being a savvy marketer would mean, where can I find out about what these people are searching for now as a replacement destination for the travel plans that we're planning on going there? These are the things that you as a marketer should consider, following trends and so forth. And starting next week, live show and podcast, we'll start talking about gathering data, demand data, ripping it off, basically, ripping it from by using brand new tools that have become incredibly affordable. We've touched on them from time to time on the podcast tool coverage, but we're going to go in depth stage by stage like we have done with content and personas and ICPs, ideal customer profiles, and customer journeys, the things we've done these past couple of shows here. We'll do that in-depth data analysis on data on travel demand market research. So that actually brings us to our topic of the show today, which is a kind of I wouldn't say a conclusion, but a beginning. We have gone from the wellspring of origin, okay, to the methodology of identification, to the classification of demand, to now to the point of actually generating the content that all of this information has given us. For a recap of what we have been discussing, we have from the, I think we started in show number 378. I'm going to look here real quick. Yes, influencers, review, testimonials, referrals, the shifting sands of social. We talked about outside mitigating demand to market. Then in live show number 379, we started talking, we took a venture off on the politics of travel, which was the influences of demand to your market. Then we went over into live show number 380, which was we started digging into the ICPs and persona profiles. How do you develop a ideal customer profile and personas? And today's show, we're getting to the discussion of actually creating targeted content. Actually, our topic today is targeted content, AI versus organic. And this has turned into a hot dialogue point because for anybody that follows Tim Peters, content is king and all these things that he says. Content, okay, is a critical component of our overall capability of effectiveness, strategy, and targeting. Now, the targeting we've discussed in the past couple of shows because we're saying, okay, look, who is our ideal customers and who is our current customers? And those were tools that we talked about from ICPs and personas. And we've identified what their interests are, their ways of discovery. We talked about customer journey. How did they engage with us based on what brought them to us, what they were interested in discovering with us, what did they become educated about, and what eventually caused them to convert with us or not to convert with us. We talked about those metrics and tools and methodologies of using both of those. And if you missed either of those shows, great to go back to. So this makes this show that much more valuable. But now we're going to talk about content. Now, content is a many splendid thing. Content has a variety of facets to it that gets thrown into a hopper of a buzzword. All too often, people that are not aware of actually having to use content, create content, keep it as a omni statement. Oh, well, we need more content. What particular content do you need more of? And if you don't know what the particulars of content are, types of content, then we're going to go through some brief overview. These aren't all of them, but these are some of the highlighted ones. Most often, a discussion with anybody that wants to act like they know what's going on and or they do know what they're going on, they want to talk about SEO-driven content, okay? Content that would reside on your website. Content for discoverability, organic content, as it were. It's often referred to organic. I refer to organic content. This is the content that creates your authority for whatever the content is for. Your presence in market, your product itself. That's the first apex of all organic content. SEO-driven content is the who, what, where, the NAP information, name, address, phone number, kind of stuff. Who we are, what we are, and this has to be completely clear and clean on all the platforms that use it. All of the Google Maps, the Apple Maps, the Yelp Maps, the everything that has a map value to it, that information has to be accurate and it has to be consistent. Okay, that's an easy one. Then the next aspect of organic SEO-driven content is about who you are, what you are. These questions. What we represent. We are a hotel. We have this. We have this. This is us. And this is when you begin to fill out more organic content, that the accurate definition of your rooms, the accurate definition of your services, the accurate definition of your product, location, brand, name, whatever that is, the history of that SEO-driven content. You have to be a pure authority on. You should be your best authority on yourself. That's not always the case. The TripAdvisors of the world have a variety of content that has been contributed about you, that they've researched for you. And so they sometimes become more of an authority about your very product than you are. A good marketer can steal authority from you because they can be symbiotic to your organic, but that's another discussion. So this SEO-driven content is usually the first reference point when people start talking about what content is. But there's actually other aspects and types of content. There's what's called evergreen content. And this content is, in general, information that is related to you that isn't necessarily about you, okay? Going to the SEO-driven content for your websites, for organic authority, placements, identification, who you are, your NAP information, all of that, okay, is well and good. That is the first core block to the foundation of content. Evergreen content is the things that are ancillary eminently around you, your first circle of things around the product. That it's not about your hotel, it's your hotel in market. It's not about your rooms, it's about the activities and events and things surrounding those rooms about your hotel and what's in the area for you as a destination evergreen content. There might be purposes of travel, what you're built for, what mission that the hotel has is as equally good as being evergreen content. Because again, it's not talking necessarily about you in the particulars of names, address, phone numbers, room capacities, types of rooms, and so forth, but it is talking about the purpose of all of that. And that is evergreen content. And then the third major category or type of content is marketing content. Now you may think that the SEO content really is just plug and play into the discussion. Well, once we have our SEO driven content, then we're going to push it over to Evergreen because it relates to it, and then we're going to push it over to marketing. I said no, because it's a perfect example. If your primary information for SEO marketing is about room types, numbers of rooms, types of products, name of product, so forth, that doesn't make a very great marketing message. No, it doesn't mean that you can't include it in marketing messages. It just means that's not your lead point for marketing content. And marketing content actually has its own fractions of content necessary. Think of it this way: your email content, your CRM engagement content is similar but different than your SEO and evergreen content, but it can be inclusive of it. And that content can be specific to what you're making the communication point in marketing for. What am I sending this email for? Is it for an event driven? Is it for the time of year? Is it for a product? Is it for our gift certificates? Whatever it may be, what is this content for? So you have CRM content, communication content. Then you have actual ad content, your actual text ad content. And this is how is the ad written? And this is under the parameters of what platform you're advertising on, Google Ads, Bing, whatever, as to how many characters they allow for a headline, how many characters they allow for the first line, what options do they have for action items within the ad itself. That's ad content in a text form, where you have to have content that is about what the ad is being generated for, usually related to where the ad is sending you to. And we'll get to some more breakdowns of this in just a minute. And then you have the third type of marketing type content, and that is rich media, your images and your videos that you use in your ad campaigns, your image campaigns, your video campaigns. This is very important because, like everything, everybody calls it an Easter egg program, but it's about what do you represent in this content that adds to the volume of information you're trying to share with the ad that doesn't have to be spelled out. The types of people you have in the ad, their age, their ethnicity, whatever, in addition to what is in the background, what is it that they're interacting with? If you're sharing a video ad because it's holidays, is it a holiday video? Is there things that represent what holiday it's representing? These are the aspects that get Easter egged into the content of a visual ad, a rich media ad. So that's just three types of marketing content, and marketing is one of only of three larger variations of content. Okay. The fourth one that drives content for all of them is time sensitivity. Let's start from the top with the SEO driven content. SEO driven content, if you're talking about the fact that you have all these amenities, facilities, your location, who you are, what you are, okay, is it related to a time sensitivity? If you're at the base of a mountain, the content that you have related to winter versus summer is very different. It's still who you are, but it is spectrumed to what value it represents based on the seasonality. That's a time sensitivity. If you're talking about you get lift tickets or have a lift to the hotel or next to a lift for the mountain or a particular ski slope, then that has high relevance in the summertime, in the wintertime, that have a different relevance in the summertime where, yes, the lift is important. Yes, going up is important, but now it's about bike rides down or hiking down or getting into the mountains and into the trails. Differences for that type of SEO driven content. Evergreen content, ironically, would be related to the content that people are interested in discovering based on their interest of the seasonality that they're looking to you for. Are they looking for the winter adventure? Are they looking for the summer adventure? You have to have that evergreen content that relates to all the amenities and activities around you, in addition to who you are as SEO. And then for marketing content, all of your CRM communication, all of your text ad content, all of your rich media is sensitive to time sensitivity. But time sensitivity has actually some fractions to it as well. And just so you know, all of these notes are in the show notes. You can look at this as a breakdown. You have event-driven time sensitivity. Something's coming up, something's happening. It has definitive dates. That's event-driven. You have seasonality. You have the cycles of time that are not just the seasons of spring, winter, summer, fall, okay, but rather also spring break, summer break, holiday breaks. There's seasonalities that go beyond just the quadrants of season for a given year. Then you have holidays. Now, you may think these are event-driven, but they're actually calendar A specific. Event-driven would be more tangible to a schedulable event. Holidays are a previously already scheduled thing. Christmas is on a in the US is on a certain date. Halloween is on a certain date. Boxing Day is on a certain date. Hanukkah on certain dates that are specific to that year based on a calendar. But they're very defined well ahead. Everybody can go see when Hanukkah is going to be in 55 if they want. So you can see when these holidays are there, and they're very definitive milestone events. They are treated differently because the actuation of the holiday created different communication. If it's event driven, you're talking about the things to do in relationship to the event. For a holiday, you're talking about the excuse of, the catalyst of, and the events of that particular holiday. Okay, holiday for Christmas can be about the family gatherings and so forth, and also the retail. It can be very multidimensional. Then you have the fourth type of time-sensitive content, and that is news. Things that happen that shift the direction of communication, good and bad. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of bad recently, and it's tragic, very tragic. The persistent in the U.S. Gun violence, and our hearts go to everyone, both in Colorado and Virginia. The stories are the list is too long. So sorry for that down point to it, but it weighs heavy, especially this time of year and so forth. So going back to the concept of content, time sensitivity, news being one of them, you can have the need to clarify the negative news so that it's not as negative to you, or be as truthful about it as possible so that it blunts the sharpness of negative impact. And also from a positive perspective, that you can augment and amplify what the news drives to you because you're aware of it and have content related to it. If you're the ski slope of the stars, and you have a certain celebrity show up and are willing to, with their permission, to be acknowledged that they showed up, then that's a newsworthy item. You can actually put out your own news, but more importantly, if news is put out that you can be related to, augment yourself with that. Embrace it, add it to your content, and share your content out so that it gets added to the newsworthy coverage of the content. So again, kind of a recapping of the content perspectives. You have content, okay, as a very lump sum term buzzword. But then you really have three definitions of the type of content, and that is evergreen content, SEO, let's take them in titles, SEO driven content, evergreen content, and marketing content. And then you have influences on all that content, for the most part, which are time sensitive, event driven, seasonal, holiday, and news. And then, as we mentioned, the marketing type of content has its own segmentations between communications with guests, which is CRM based, ad content in particular, text and items and content related to it, and then rich media, the things you put in the rich media as a part of the content messaging you're sending. I want to go back to one thing about ad content, all of the content, marketing content. All of the content is a trigger, because it's ads, to a larger amount of content, which is the conversion. We've talked and preached this as much as we can possibly refer to the point of being repetitive, is your ad is not your action point. And I say that with the caveat that some channels it is, Twitter being one of them, where you're literally putting out the action item and the content of the action item all in one post because the temporariness of the post itself, 7 seconds and it's gone. But for the most part, your ad is an actuator. It's a call to action. It's a solicitation of enough awareness presented in the ad to bring them to the point where there is additional content that will help substantively create the conversion you're hoping for. Because if you have too busy of an ad, if you try to put too much in the ad, I kind of equate it to like you see those disclaimers at the end of medical, pharmaceutical ads, and or also even more so car ads, where the person talks inhumanly fast at the end because they took out all the pauses and sped it up by half a speed or double speed so that they can fulfill the legalities of the disclaimers that the offer of the ad was making. Like this, yes, we said that, but these are all the other things we have to tell you about it that we don't have time for, but we have to make sure it's in the ad. That's what a too busy of an ad does, is it adds too much information and creates a paralysis of indecision, paralysis of choice. A lot of times the ad is an actuator that brings it to a content piece that you've built, content piece, organic on your website, okay, which helps your SEO driven content identify your relationship to whatever it is the ad is driving to, and also your evergreen content and everything else you're doing about marketing. Here's your content. about the event, time sensitivity. Here's our room rate offer for this event time. Here's the extra added values that we have related to the offer we're doing. All of that resides in an organic place on your site that augments the ad being driven to it. Your ad goes to the content. Your ad doesn't go to the top of the pile saying, welcome to our website. And you're like, wait a minute, I was following an ad about the XYZ festival, and I'm looking at a hotel's general website. Now I got to find what they were, and they're gone. Better to bring them to and this is our XYZ festival rate. Here's our XYZ festival information we promised you. Here's our XYZ additional things that we can offer as a value for you because we're right across the street from it or whatever. The content that you create for the ad is as critical as the ad itself. So always make sure that all the ad content, and the same goes to the link you put into an email, the same that you do for rich media video, where it drives you to after you click on the ad. All go to a supporting piece of content. So going back to our topic, targeted content, AI versus organic. We've identified content beyond the simple buzzword just saying content. We've identified it into the types. We've identified those types segmented down to the influencing factors associated with it. Now let's talk about the difference between where you can generate this content and how does it relate to everything else we've been talking about these past shows of the wellspring of ICPs, ideal customer profiles, personas, and customer journeys. And I say that not necessarily in the correct order because usually you'll tackle an ICP first because the one that you have the most data for. And it's going backwards a little bit to our show when we talk about ICPs, ideal customer profiles. They are normally equated to business profiles. You see the ideal person you think you could sell your hotel to. They are working with these companies that you know are in proximity that would be interested in you. They are of a certain level within that organization, so their job title would be a consideration, which means they also have a certain income level, which is a part of their income level consideration. They represent perhaps certain demographics, maybe a local resident and or regional resident and or fly-in resident, or just within the hierarchy of the company, their presence. Those things are defined. And you begin to create this ICP of this person that is your ideal. Doesn't mean that person's always walking in the door. This is who you think you're pursuing for these places. And the value of that pursuit is you create this profile based on it's like making your perfect date. Who you want to, where they have to have blonde hair, they have to have, whatever. You're creating your ideal guest. Then you have the ability to use that same type of tools for making ideal guest for your transient or your Smurf business. You can use the tools to create any ideal guest you want, any ideal customer you want out of any of your segmentations for your industry or for your hotel. Then you get into personas, which is the creation of the people in combination to who you know are coming in the door and who you think, lowest hanging fruit, you can generate more interest in for the same types of people to come into your door again. So not only are you targeting the same people that you already know coming to your hotel, but you're creating, based on that, a persona of that type of person that may not be aware of your product that now you can target because you have identified the similarities to the people that you have been coming in your door. Think of them as lookalike audiences that you can say, wow, that's a feeder market for us. So let's focus on that feeder market. Who comes from that market that we already know? This is their age, this is their demographics, this is their income levels, this is their family types, whatever those criteria of what we define for creating persona. And there's plenty of work tools, and we put them all in the show notes for the shows, by the way, so you can actually make your own personas. And we talk about tools on the podcast where you can pull data that will create personas for you and also help you make personas and make personas of your comp set, which we did talk about as well too, which is pretty cool. So once you have these personas, you now have a picture. And really, actually, it helps to put a picture on it of all these reasons of why you created these personas. Now, these personas are based on what you're building them for. Who comes to us in March, okay, versus who comes to us during all of summer, or who do we get the last half of the year, or who comes for that event. You literally create personas and ICPs for what you're thinking you're going to want to do next, which is target them. Targeting them for marketing, okay, is ahead of yourself. You have to target them for content development. And that's where we are right now. How do you create the content? So you've identified and created ICPs, and you've identified and created personas. for what you feel you want to become knowledgeable about to begin to market to them. Okay. So we now have a persona of people that we want to have come in during the holidays, starting from Thanksgiving through the rest of the year. We should be doing this probably in August and September, just saying. Okay. Maybe even July, at least getting this part done, and then creating the marketing pathway for social first, and then our paid campaigns after that. But let's just say we're at that stage and where we're looking to target from Thanksgiving to the end of the year. And we have personas built for our transient businesses, and we have their demographics, we have their preferences, we have their family composition, we have their income, we have the geographies. Based on what we have from previous data from the top people that have stayed with us over the years, average weighted mean, okay, several years back, because we had the convoluted data for our lockdown and so forth. And so we have this data that we create these personas. Now, we want to market to them. And you might think that, great, we know who they are, so let's just start putting the messaging up. You want to create the content that solidifies what you're marketing to. And we're not marketing to the persona at that point, we're marketing to the content we're generating. So we have two aspects, at least, of content to identify these people. We have the fact that there is SEO content. Do we have content that we always want to keep on our website about things between Thanksgiving and New Year's? Okay, we're making the simulation up for these. And do we have anything that's time sensitive? Well, yes, of course we do. We have the holidays. We have certain events during those times. So we have some things that are great. What content do we have that is ours that we can put on our site that we put in a place is that where our ads that we will be creating next go to? So you're creating content, one, for organic value of it, two, all of the things for where your marketing is driven to, and then you start making decisions of, okay, so we're talking about these holidays and events and the reasons for these people travel based on the demographics of the persona and so forth. Are we offering them anything? Is the demand there that we don't have to offer anything? Is first criteria, obviously. Do we have to discount? It doesn't always mean you have to give something away for something. It just means that because you've accurately identified people, you have a better success in conversion because you're making more people aware of what they weren't aware of and are willing to pay the rate you're already asking for. So this doesn't mean you always have to give something away. Are you modifying and expanding your current demand, which would fit that criteria of not having to expand your rate? Or are you trying to solicit demand where there isn't any, where you need to incentivize their engagement with you, in which case you do need a discount rate? So are you picking a downtime that you're looking to fill, or are you picking a high demand period that you're looking to maximize? That's a fork in the road. That's where you have to make a choice. Your content is based on that because either you're offering an offer detail or you're bringing brand awareness and content that is of interest to people based on the demography that you're chasing. So content development for your marketing is the first before marketing. Because once you've built this content, once you've built your strategy of offer, no offer, content value, ancillary value, evergreen value, content that is supporting the fact of your value to the event that you're trying to highlight, or holiday in this case, or sequence of events, corporate parties, or have a corporate party, or get people into town because they spend time with family, length of stay offerings, those types of things, or festivals and events that are happening that are a draw for people for Drive Market. Is there a fly reason to it because the first winter snow, whatever? These are all the modifiers that you're looking at in your content strategy. The content is now, in comparison, just being made out of whatever we find of interest, is now being made for whatever we want to find interesting for our personas that we've made. What do the personas want to know more of? What do the personas need to become educated on? So that when we introduce this in front of them in their discovery phase, they have a willingness and desire to transition into the education phase of our value proposition. And our value proposition can, again, it doesn't have to be a discounted thing, can be simply what we are, where we are, and what we do. That content about us is the value proposition. And so from that, we have the marketing that is built to drive people to those content pieces. Now, after this and going forward on some things, we'll talk about analytics and tracking and GA4. That's going to become more and more of a topic as we transition into the next year. But I want to talk about, how do you make this content? AI versus organic. There are some very cool tools out there that you can give a grain of sand, or you can give one kernel of rice and get a bowl back. That's a better analogy. Um, AI content is amazing. Some of the tools that are being developed now that are affordable. Again, you know that I'm an AppSumo fiend. We cover these tools on our podcast after we do the show. We do a podcast which does a recap of what we talk about here, but also we get into very granular tools that we use to do the very things we're talking about. And the podcast is its own topic, but it's usually synchronous with what we're doing for the live show. And we're going to go over AI content generated tools today in our podcast, just so everyone knows. Spoiler alert. So you have these AI content pieces. To give you a context to this, there's a tool that we're going to cover today called Context Minds. And the very cool part about it is, if anybody's never made a mind map, you should. It's a great way of mentally thinking how things are connected. I geek out one on VR called Noda, where I'm in a virtual room and I make little glowing balls and I type what it is and what it connects to. It's really weird and trippy looking, but very helpful. But if you use Mind Manager or Knowledge Logic or whatever to make these mind maps, which are connectivities, they look like an organizational structure on steroids, how things connect. I make three-dimensional ones, which are crazy cool visually, but anyway. If you're doing this for creating AI content, this platform we're going to discuss today, Context Minds, will go through the research of what you're trying to collaborate. It will ask questions about why you are looking for this. And then it will give suggestions of things that are related to it, not just because there are suggestions related to the topic that you may have typed, like holiday visitors or Christmas events or what have you. It'll actually give you SERP results as to how many people are searching for it. Think of it like your Google Trends tool and look for it on your keyword search tool. It'll begin to recommend keywords and phrases with the commensurate value of that phrase or keyword that you then can add into the mind map that you're creating to show if I'm looking for these people, like as an inception point, I want to drive more business between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Christmas is Christmas, Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving, New Year's is New Year's, and the time between Christmas and New Year's has its definitive demand as well. I'm looking to drive ancillary business for the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People that have reason or may not be aware of all the reasons that they want to travel to my market. Maybe I'm near a retail outlet that is of value for people looking for shopping. Maybe I'm near a place that they have family. And these all come from the persona development that you do. And so I'm looking towards those people. I might go and make a mind map of looking for, well, where would they come from? And I would add, where they come from. And I might begin to add my own notes like, well, drive market. And what's a drive market? We've had great conversations over our summer shows about the definitions of the quadrants of drive market between the 2 and 2.5 hour drive segment, the 3 to 5 hour segment, and the beyond 5 hour segment. And we talk about distances of that, of whether it's a 300-mile trip or 500-mile trip or 150-mile trip, basically, or 200-mile trip. And what the average length of them. We went through all the data search about discovering gas stations and which one has high volume because we traced down what gas stations get filled the most. And we talked about the radius of those, and they're about 200 miles. So that means that's the refill time. People don't run their gas tank empty. They run it down to about a quarter of a tank or thereabouts, and they fill back up, which is ironically about a 200-mile stretch. When you add that into the course of the day, and then you add it into their budget for travel and whether they have to grab lunch on their trip or whether they have to actually get accommodations because they're traveling overnight and they have to go longer than 1 day's worth of travel, which is 6 to 8 hours. 8 hours is on the normal side of that. There's people that push, do 10, 12 hours and so forth because they don't want to get a hotel room when they're within reach of their destination and so forth. But these are all factors that go into how you decide who you're going to market to. Where are you going to market to? And you put these ratings on and say, well, you know what? We're really going to hit a lot of drive people. There's people that are in the suburbs or secondary or smaller markets outside of ours that want to come in because we have retail functionality. And we have a lot of family in the area for them. How do we know this? Well, we talk about other tools that you can determine their interrelationship on their geographies based on their social media engagements. You can see where they keep connected to. You have kids that are in colleges, they're coming home. During certain breaks. You have parents that want to go visit college kids because the college kid can't come home because it's the end of their sessions. You have military travel considerations, family visiting family because of military leave and or they can't get military leave. where are the military locations and installations? Where's military training happen? Sometimes training happens for military personnel that's outside of the military infrastructure, and because of that, they have travel. Now you have per diems and things like this, and then you have people that don't want to stay for the per diems. See how it gets really like, oh, look at all these, but there's all little pieces that create the content that you're looking for. So we're looking between Thanksgiving and Christmas to fill our business. So we start defining keywords and terms and radiuses of where people are looking and whether or not that relates to the geography. Do people search this way in the areas that we think they're coming from? Based on our personas, how much of our persona do we think comes from these markets? Do we include that into our geography for our persona? And if we did, then what is the family composition? Do they have children? What age are their children? Do they have support family? Do they have, are they supporting family because of their age classification with their older family or their younger family? Grandkids versus grandparents. These are all things that come from the persona dialogue to the content generation. And you may think that because you have holes, which is why you're looking to expand demand between Thanksgiving and Christmas, that you need to incentivize what you're offering. So look at the reasons of what bring them into market. The fact that there's going to be a huge retail sale offer might be an incentive for people to come shortly after Thanksgiving to take advantage of that. Your awareness of that can be included in the content that you develop. Heck, you might take the next step, which is even more important, of going over and getting the information specific to those deals and putting it on the content that you're developing for the marketing of retail for those people to be aware of. Click here to get your 20% off at the XYZ store right around the corner from us. That kind of stuff. Okay? We know that today's Black Friday. We know tomorrow is Small Business Saturday. We know Monday is Cyber Monday. Yes, but those are only kickoff points now. They're not the day that has the best deals. They have the best deals that the day has on that day, but then they have perpetual deals afterwards. And a lot of businesses, this is the rollout time. We know from the realities of this current year that we have supply issues that now have caught up on some things, and there's an overabundance of certain inventories, like furnitures or things like this, that maybe this is the thing that you buy a bunch of furniture places, and you know that there might be people that are willing to come into town to pick this stuff up, or at least go shop for it and have it delivered to them. Whatever it is, that's a part of the content that you put together. And you may think, why would I talk about furniture selling stores when I'm a hotel? Because it's what drives them in your door to stay with you while they do the function that you've identified your relationship to. That's the key elements to creating the types of content. And AI helps with that in the sense of inspiring and creating a muse, a catalyst, an inception to that stuff, making you look at things like the platform we're going to talk about today, Context Minds, that you didn't think about, like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know it was a search term. And you see the volume of it, and you see the keyword use of it, and you see how it relates to your persona. You're like, oh, heck yeah, we need to include that into our content expansion so that people resonate with that searchability or that content. And it is surprising the way that people look for and discover stuff. I'm always amazed when you're looking at ways that people discover content. It's just like when you look over somebody's shoulder and they're working on a program that you're very familiar with, that you work on, they navigate it different than you. You're like, I never used that button that way before, but wow, that's pretty neat. Or you might learn something, oh, that's a faster shortcut than I use, because we get into our own habits of doing stuff. Same too with it. We all have our way of discovering things. And when you see how other people discover stuff, you're like, that's really cool. I mean, all too often, just think about how you find things on Amazon. There's the I search for it Amazon, and then there's the things that Amazon suggests. Okay, we're all proud of their algorithm. And you go like, wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. Look at that. They make that thing. And then next thing you know, you're on this little rabbit hole looking for stuff that you didn't even know you were looking for. That's where content development is at its best. AI is great for having found those things that underneath stones you didn't even know you needed to turn over. But don't disregard your own organic awareness. You are a person in market, and as such, you're aware of what people interact with in your market. You know that even though you have the world's biggest Target hotel, retail next door to you, people don't come in for it that much for whatever reason. You just know that because that there's other stores in the area that are much neater and more eclectic and interesting, and that the downtown mom and pop stores are really the big draw of what brings people in. The Target store is convenient for everyone, and it's not that it doesn't get used, because after all, it's the world's big one, right? But the enjoyment of what drives people into the market is the boutique stores that are in the downtown that you can help offer your relationship to in the content that you create for yourself. So targeting content is a combination of using the super cool new tools that are out there, AI to organic AI content development, and your own common sense of organic interests. And a lot of times, be open minded that some of your organic must haves or truths, like, oh, well, everybody always comes in for that. No, you solidified that opinion based on criteria back in the day that no longer is as relevant then as it is now, or vice versa. That is not as relevant now as it was then. Shifting sands, as it were. So always be open to the fact that what you think is a hard truth written in stone might now be just written in sand. That because of other ways of discovering, because of other changes in the market, because nobody is omnipotently knowledgeable about any market, there are things that have happened in your market that you may not have realized grew and developed. I say that from all of the segmentations that your personas represent. LGBTQ communities flourish in certain areas, and over time, if you're not keeping aware of that kind of market, you may not have realized that that section of town that you don't really go to very often or have nobody in there that you see, all of a sudden turned into a very flourishing community for some reason. And it's not just the LGBTQ, it could be an ethnic group, it could be a similarity of people, artists, there could be a variety of things. There could have been, you didn't realize it, but there was a lot of little music studios that opened up in little warehouse sections that you didn't know about because you're not into music that way, or you don't play guitar or something, but it turned into a music village of something. And that in itself is a draw for people coming into the market. That you don't understand why all these little bands are showing up that stay with you because you haven't have a conversation of, oh, you got a lot of music equipment. Oh yeah, we're part of a band. We're here for meeting such and such. Oh, and you find out that there's this whole little music village that grew up 2 blocks down from your hotel. That awareness of content will always come to you as you begin to see how people search for your market. And that might expand your persona development and, of course, your ICP development and your ideal customer profiles. That kind of development comes from the content that you discover. And as we talked about today, there's types of content, evergreens, SEO, marketing, and there's influences to those, time sensitivities, in addition to segmentations of types of marketing. So we have all of that. Very quickly, I want to hit, so that is our discussion on the topic today of targeting content, AI versus organic. We kind of went off a little bit on the rail earlier, talking about gift certificates as a value proposition for this time of year. I always try to harp on that for this time of year because it's such a critical value for those that are aware of its usabilities, and the expansion of the audience that you can create for it are very solid. I do want to throw in one quick little news item, and that is the new Google Lens. It finally launched. It's straight out of a sci-fi movie in lots of ways. So we all know about traveling and having our GPS tell us what a little blue dot is on the map in relationship to what's around us. And because of the trillions of pictures that exist in Google now, it's able to use those to, if you hold up your Google app, mainly on their Pixel right now, and look around in an AR environment where you're looking through the camera view of your phone as you look around, it has on it now little bubbles of stuff of what you're looking at. So much like, the Terminator look where he's looking around and it's identifying everything he's looking around, not as green screenish as that, but it is kind of what Yelp had hoped to have been way back in the day, I guess, when it did its lens. Monocle, I think they called it, is with the Google Lens looking around, it'll tell you that bottom of that building, there's this store, that store, this store. You can actually click on the bubbles and it'll expand like a Google Maps pin, the information related to what you just interacted with. It's crazy how helpful that can be. Not just from a marketing perspective, which we will talk more about as time gets on and more people start using this, because right now they're making a novelty of their own phone so that there's a higher value for purchase and acquisition for people that get Google Pixel that really want this AR capability in it. But like with all things, Apple included, Google included, once there's more of a demand critical mass to that, they'll begin to influence it into all of their product availabilities and or an app crossover for Apple users on and on, or Apple will develop their own, whatever it may be. But it'll become a function of what we do. In the world of the fact that we know that phones will go away as we know them in the next years, whatever years that will be, AR will become an integral part. We've talked about AR in comparison to VR. We talked about the blending of both of those. We talked about the new but the new Oculus Pro that came out that is a quasi AR VR combo. We have yet to see what Apple's answer to that is. We yet to see other iterations of other companies that are very well placed in the market of what they're going to produce. Google being one of them. Remember the Google glasses? That was an AR event. We're already seeing things that are working with Meta with Ray-Ban, where there's cameras in Wayfarers that have also audio and so forth. And it's not an AR engagement component to it, but it's expected that eventually there will be a base AR component. Something as simple as just caller ID will pop up in the bottom of your lens that you can see, to eventually something like Google Lens, where as you're looking around, you're seeing these interactive capabilities that you can, whatever way they decide how to make you interact, okay, look more at or see more at. Who's to say? Also, there's Live View, which Google has, where you can actually go and see what's going on based on everybody's pictures of things of that area. Now, this is usually city driven. You're talking about the New Yorks, the LAs, the Miamis, to places that have not only the bandwidth capability, a 5G plus and so forth, but also the data capability to have that kind of information. But very interesting directions. We've talked about it from a sci-fi perspective these past couple of years. We're now beginning to see these kinds of tools like Google Lens come into usability for everyone right now for those with Pixels, but soon to be more, I'm sure, as the validation of its usage comes into play. So things to consider. Just want to make sure we threw that into the news discussion for today. Again, a happy Thanksgiving to all U.S. Residents, myself included, from yesterday. Hopefully it was a wonderful time, peaceful time, enjoyable time with family and friends. Happy Black Friday to all of my retail friends and for all of us in the industry that are looking at this as a chance for a real solid end of the year push for getting people interacted with us. If you have the gift certificates, yay to you, because you will get the full benefit of what the holiday means for purchase decisions for people. And as we can finish up our shows for the rest of this year, we will start gearing into expectations of transitions as to what 2023 will be, especially first quarter. So we'll continue more with that. So thank you, as always, for listening and participating in the show, and all the comments and emails that I get from people that share with me what it is that they would like to hear more about and what they would like us to talk more about. And of course, any feedback you give me as to what you would like to see changed or improved, always open for that. You can reach me at lauren@hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. Thank you for everyone, again, that watches us live, 39 countries and counting, tens of thousands of people. I sincerely appreciate that. Our show notes are always on hospitalitychannel.tv, which is our web linear I Love Lucy rerun show platform, which all of our shows go into, including our podcasts, and you can selectively choose and watch, or it'll just come up in time sequence for the course of the week. If you want to join us and listen to us on TV rather than on a computer or iPhone or iPad or anything, or on social platforms, you can always watch us on our TV channel, which is the Hospitality Channel. You can get it on Roku, Amazon, Apple, and Roku, Google, Amazon, Apple. Roku, Google, Amazon, Apple. I'm missing one. Roku. Wow, I cannot remember. There's 4 platforms. Anyways, it's on the TV channel. Look for Hospitality Channel on your smart TV and add the channel. The live show is always on the free side of that, as also as product and services. What do you mean by free side is that we have a paid platform, similar to a paid platform like Netflix or so forth, that for $4.99, $4.99 a month, you get all this hospitality industry content. It's not a consumer channel. It's really about being in the industry and learning about the industry and sharing experiences in the industry. The content behind the paywall gives you access to that. It comes included with what we have as a advanced or journeyman level club called hospitalitymarketing.club. It's not to learn the basics. It's not to be basics. We're not here to teach what people see, but the Hospitality Marketing Club is for people that are in the industry doing this hospitality marketing, maybe an inspiration to why you're watching our show, that you get to share at a peer level questions, insights. We do live broadcasts in there as well. Content that's more A-specific. We answer through the usages of tools. We answer through harder questions that we all face. It's kind of an open, collaborative, journeyman, advanced level forum. If you want to see if you can join us, you give me your email by going to hospitalitymarketing.club, put the email in. I send you a quiz. If you can pass the quiz at 90%, then we send an invitation to you so you can join our closed social community. It's not on Facebook. It's our own community, social community that we have. And be a part of their weekly reviews when recaps and content and shareabilities and learning lessons and so forth. And it also gives you access, the reason why I brought it up, to our Hospitality Channel TV for free. Right now, the club is not paid for Gateway. It will be in time as our community begins to establish its value proposition and our participants. So sometime next year, we'll go from being able to join for free to paying to be a part of it at whatever level that you would want to be a part of it or however long you want to communicate with us. So that is all the things that we're doing this year and going into next. We hope that you join us for that. And until next week for show number 382, my name is Lauren Gray. I thank you for the privilege of your time, and I look forward to talking to you next week.